Hey guys, it's Junior. Welcome back to the channel here at Horsepower Warehouse. Today we have three things to talk about on the agenda. First up is going to be knockoff wheels on these Corvettes. It's a big controversy. It's arguably a dangerous aspect of these cars, so it's something I wanted to address with you guys. Next up, we're going to go over the auction results of the 4 really special C2s and the 1 C8 Corvette that we sent over to Mecum recently. 4 of the cars have went over the block, so we'll go over the results. And finally, we're gonna, as tradition, go through the shop. I'm gonna show you guys what's new and what's planned and coming up for the future. 2022 has begun, so Horsepower Warehouse is gonna hit it hard this year. I'm glad to have you guys on board. So first and foremost, we are going to talk about knockoff wheels on the C2 Corvettes. So you can see we have a 63 here. This actually is not a knockoff wheel. I know you guys see a spinner here, but this is actually a hubcap. So 63s were never equipped with knockoff wheels, except in a really special circumstance. There were rumors of factory racers that got knockoff wheels, but you kind of had to know the back door into ordering a car equipped as such. So 63s, if you see a spinner on it, it's probably a hubcap. So it leaves us with the 64 through 67 model years. You can see this is actually a 63 split window with knockoffs. So as I just mentioned, guys, this is incorrect. A lot of guys love this though. These knockoff wheels are truly a timeless design. In terms of looks, they are unmatched. In my opinion, they are the best looking wheel for these cars. Second to the 67, which is not a knockoff, but it kind of replicates that same look that you would get on a knockoff wheel. You guys can see how similar they are. But the purpose of this video is to kind of dispel some of the concerns that I've heard about these knockoff wheels. There is a lot of cars that come through here with knockoffs. I personally have never lost a knockoff wheel in the entire existence of this company. You guys know I deal with C2 Corvettes by the batches. I've done a lot of restorations on these cars. Why have I never lost a knockoff wheel? Now, I've had every variation. I've had the types with no safety pins. I've had the fake knockoffs. I've had the reproductions. I've had real Kelsey Hayes knockoffs. There's a lot of different variation on knockoff wheels. Another reason why I wanted to make this video and kind of dispel some of the myths. If you go on Corvette forums and all the guys that have owned these cars for years and years, they are in the know. There's a lot of knowledge to be gained. You kind of have to sift through some of the guys that aren't so knowledgeable and want to claim to be, but there are a lot of true experts on C2s. Now, I'd never claim myself to be an expert because I have not done the years of homework. I'm a wrench. I put these cars together in the best possible way. My craftsmanship is unparalleled, and as a result, I build really, really beautiful pieces of art is what I almost consider these things. I don't go by NCRS standards on a lot of my builds because I try to surpass them, exceed their standards. They don't like stainless steel and powder coat and high quality paint, and it wasn't correct for the car. I'm trying to build something different. I'm trying to build something better for myself and my customers. With that being said, let's check out this knockoff setup here. You can see I have a set of hammers here. This hammer is after a single use of putting on 4 wheels. That's how destroyed your knockoff hammer is going to get. Issue is this is lead, this is steel. Once that lead flattens out to that steel portion, you can no longer use this hammer. That will damage this knockoff spinner. So what you can do is buy a large lead hammer. It's called the Mother Thumper. I'm going to say that clearly so YouTube doesn't demonetize me. Mother Thumper. And that is a 6-pound lead hammer. It does not have a steel center. It is just a large piece of lead. What I've personally done, because I do so many of these knockoff wheels, I went to Snap-on, bought the biggest nylon coated dead blow that they could sell me. That was super expensive. I use these to seat it, and then I will use a lead to fully install it, if that makes sense. So that way I'm not beating the crap out of my lead hammers. You can see this thing has taken a walloping. And thankfully Snap-on has the best warranty in the industry, so they'll replace that. That's why I invested in that guy. You can use these, but like I said, you only have so many uses before you need to just trash it and get another one. This is a fresh, brand new, unused one. That's how they come. I always recommend, if you have knockoffs, keep a brand new one in the vehicle. It's a safety thing. Just have the ability to tighten your wheels on the fly for that reason. You can see that the center hub here, this one has provisions in it for a safety pin. And on the knockoff here, now you can see how beat up these knockoffs get. This thing is absolutely trashed, but that's why I picked it out for you guys, so you can see if you use the incorrect hammer on these, it will damage the chrome. If you use a lead hammer, it will never ever damage the chrome. If you're damaging it, you're doing something wrong. This is the safety pin that actually goes into this slot here. And you can see how it fits into the slot once that is fully tightened. Where do people go wrong on these? Now, this is not a how-to video on how to install your knockoffs. That is a liability concern first off. People can mess up anything. Even if I give you detailed precision instructions on how to do this, people can literally mess up anything. I don't want to be that guy that guides you to do something wrong. I've personally never lost a wheel using my methods. How do people mess these up? Let me show you. This has, on the back side of the spinner, you see how it says LH right there, left hand. If you look on the hub, now it's really difficult to find, and I already cleaned this sucker up to try to find it for you guys, but let me set it down so we can, man. So anyhow, like somewhere in this area it says RH. I can almost see the outline there. This is a right-hand hub. You can see this is a left-hand spinner. Now obviously this spinner will not go onto this hub because the threads are actually opposite, but you can put a left-hand spinner and a left-hand hub on the right-hand side of the car. What that will cause it to do is come loose. That's how people are losing them. The number one reason I feel that people are losing them is not tightening the spinner tight enough. They're not walloping it because they don't want to damage their moderately expensive lead hammer. They don't want to damage their spinner by beating on it with the hammer. They feel like it's going to damage it, and both those pieces, this is way more expensive than this. So I can understand you not wanting to wallop it, but you really have to. You have to beat these things pretty hard to get them good and tight, especially if you don't have the safety pin. Let me show you a car that doesn't have the safety pin. We have a lot of them. This is not a dangerous design, guys. Check it out. You can see the spinner here. It has no provisions for safety pins. This is a true spinner as well because it doesn't have a billet center here. You can tell the fake ones, when you take the cap off, you'll have a solid billet center here. That is just a bolted on wheel with a fake spinner. This is the real deal. It does not have the safety pins. This is arguably a more desirable setup. It's a lot more rare and it's a lot more expensive to try to source. No less dangerous or more dangerous than the ones with the safety pins if you install them correctly. These are really, really desirable killer wheels, a true homage to a racing design, and that's what this car is. That's what a C2 is of its era. This was the race car. So I have no problems at all with spinners that don't have the safety pins. Now those aren't retaining pins. This little guy is not going to keep this from coming off of here. Basically, this is just for peace of mind. That is made of aluminum, and the shear strength on this is not very high. So there's no way that this is keeping this from coming off of there. It's peace of mind kind of thing. So with that all being said, don't fear the spinners, guys. Just do a little bit of research, learn how to correctly install these. Make sure your threads are nice and clean. You know, do a little bit of due diligence. You can see that on this car, just as an example, wrong lug nuts on here. So you have the pin and then you have the lug nut. It's supposed to be a large lug nut. These are dangerous because it allows the lug nut to go into the provision where the pin would normally sit on this wheel. We are going to replace these lug nuts with the correct knockoff style lug nuts. They are bigger in diameter and longer, so that way you can't mess up these two. That's another reason that maybe people are losing these wheels. They're putting the wrong lug nuts on like this. They don't know any better, and then they're putting the pinhole where the lug nut should be. So another, not even a concern. If you're doing things correctly, then you have absolutely no concern. If you buy from a place like us that are building these cars, we know to use due diligence. I could look at that lug nut and tell you that's incorrect. So I'm gonna fix that on this car, obviously, before it gets built. By the way, this thing is fresh back from paint. Just painted it. We have done nothing else with it, so please don't judge me on it being dirty. Paint looks fantastic though, 66 coupe. So with that all being said, thank you guys for staying with me. Comment down below. Let me know your experiences with the spinners, with the knockoff wheels. Kind of curious what you guys have in your years of experience, how many knockoffs have came off and why. If you have a bad experience about it, please do explain why you feel the wheel came off. I would venture to say it was probably incorrect installation. Very few Corvette experts are losing knockoff wheels. It's just not something that I've heard of happening. Let's go on to the Mecum Auctions, because we have 4 cars that have went over the block so far and 4 cars have sold. Basically everything has went over as of right now when I'm making this video. The only car that is unsold at Mecum is the 63 Resto Mod. So everything else went. So the question is how much? So I got my little cheat sheet here. 66 Mosport Green 427, built by yours truly. I feel like this car was worth 180s and went for 155 plus auction fees. I feel like that was a little light, but I mean, it was a fantastic car. Someone got a really good deal there. 67 Tri-Power, blue with white Stinger hood. You guys remember that car? Another fantastic rotisserie nut and bolt restoration, not done by me, but done to pretty much my standards. 151,000 plus auction fees. C8 Corvette. So the orange Spider, $92,000, which is pretty fair considering it had about 10,000 miles on it. So well over MSRP. Those things are still bringing a premium. I can see why they're fantastic cars. The last split window. Now, I really wish I could have done the restoration on this one. I feel like it would have went higher if I personally had built the car, because I build them to such standards that it's really hard to find a comparison shop. $370,000. I feel like it would have been a $500,000 car if it was a junior built. Unfortunately, we got it. We only had enough time to really do a wet sand and buff and kind of a fluid change and you know, a light maintenance on it, and it immediately went to auction. We had it here for 2 weeks in our possession, and that's including the wet sand and buff. So we were really scrambling to get that thing ready. Like I said, I feel like if I restored it personally, it would have been a $500,000 car, but who knows? So let me know what you guys think down below. I'm kind of curious what your thought process is on what we have going on here. The last split window, I don't know. I would have said at least 400s, but hey, for $370, they got a fantastic deal. My Myers Minx, this one is getting ready to be custom painted. You can see how it's just a flat base red. This has been repainted at some point. This is not the original color. Originally, this would have been orange with metal flake in it. I want to take it one step further. I'm going to do a really, really high-end paint job. I want to do maybe a metallic orange with huge holographic flakes, or red with big flakes. And I want it to be in like a House of Colors or a Tropical Glitz paint job. They're some of the best in the industry with the really big holographic, almost tacky. I want it to, you know, really flash at you. You can see my Fox Body race car. We are pulling it all back apart. I'm lanky. I'm 6'2". I don't fit in the thing with my helmet and all the other stuff. So I'm going to extend out the funny car cage, raise that roof bar, cram it into the roof to give me as much room as possible. I'm building my car for a tall guy because that's what I am. You can see the 67 is going together here. 427 Tri-Power, that car is coming together. I am considering on this one doing a time lapse. So I want to put a camera up here or maybe over here and show you guys how we remove the body off of the chassis. I think that would be a really cool video. So stay tuned. I'm probably going to videotape the removal of the body off of that chassis just so you guys can see how we do it and what's involved. Mosport green, small block, coming together. We are painting the engine bay, doing some light stuff on the interior. Not a frame off restoration, but coming out. You can see our 65 is here waiting on the parts package. We have a $4,000 or $5,000 order of stuff to make this into a roller, and then it will go up under the body there. So that's going to be a upcoming. We did not do the paint on this one. It's going to be wet sanded and buffed. It was good enough that we really didn't need to do the paint job on it, but I did want to do that frame off restoration on it because I'm a stickler for wanting to frame off everything I put my fingers on. If you don't, then you're compromising on quality. You know, it's either framed off or it's not. So the cars that are not are obviously a lot cheaper. There's a lot less labor involved, and the cost of rebuilding literally every single nut and bolt, every component is scrutinized on a build like this. It gets expensive, guys. It's worth it, but it's laborious and expensive in terms of materials and so on and so forth. Thank you guys so much for joining me this time. I look forward to show. I can't tell you what I have coming. I don't want to spoil the surprise. I've got some new cars coming up, just as equally awesome as the stuff that you've seen previous to this. So stay with me. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please consider doing so. Thank you guys so much for joining me. And until next time, take care.